Boy, did I get off message today. Let's try it again. I told my wife on the way here, I wasn't sure where we were going with this. I guess I wasn't, was I? I'm going to go with Jonah. Everybody know the story about Jonah? Jonah in the well. Do you know the story about Jonah without the well? Let's talk about Jonah without the well. Yeah, I bounce this thing around because I feel like I'm trapped behind it sometimes. So let's start off with my verbiage. Jonah was a prophet of God. He was a prophet. God says, do things, just stir. He goes and does. He says, go to Nineveh and talk to those people. Tell them what I want you to tell them. What did Jonah do? Nah, I don't think so. I don't want to. I hate those people with a passion. They're cruel. They're vile. They're violent, destructive people. Hell was made for them. I have no use for them. Imagine God thinking, did you not hear me? I want you to go prophesy to Nineveh. So he's like, nah, I'm out. Think about that. This man's a prophet. And he decided, I think I'm going to go over here. The Lord won't see me over here, right? So he takes off. He goes on the boat. He's crossing the sea. He's fleeing the area. He's going to this place I can't pronounce without reading it again. Storm comes, all that stuff. There's a story here. Right here, there's a story. And we're going to go through this. I'm going to read you some of this. There's a story here because the men of the boat were freaked out. They were scared. The seas were rough. The storm's coming on. Somebody's made God mad. Who is it? They drew lots, basically draw straws. That's kind of confusing. I tried to study on that a little bit, but I got sidetracked. What's going on? And Jonah was like, here I am. Made the Lord mad. Our woes are because of me. Now, they've already gotten rid of all the things they could throw out of the boat and trying to keep them capsizing and all this. And Jonah's like, you're going to have to throw me over if you want to be rescued from this. You know what these people in this boat did? Everybody knows the story, right? They threw him over. Good luck. You know what they did before they did that? They prayed to God. God, we have love and strength and faith in you, and this is your doings. Please allow us to do the right thing without having blood on our hands, without shedding the blood of an innocent man in our eyes. Give us direction, O Father. This is your doings. We have to do this, but free us from this sin. I learned that. I didn't know that. I always thought there's like, you're going, see, these are sinful. Nope. These are people that knew the consequences of their action. But they laid upon their heart to do what they did, and they did. And because of they're doing what they're doing is what we're talking about, and we're going to read about it to this day. It's important to always serve the Lord. When you feel he's telling you something, do it. If you don't understand it, do it. I'm sure they didn't understand, but they did it. So Jonah goes over at the well, the whole story. Skip that part. All right? So after the well, God says, hey, Jonah, did you get the hint? Go to Nineveh. Fine, I'll go to Nineveh. And that's exactly his attitude. I'll go. He goes to Nineveh. These people that he despised, they're an evil people. They were an evil nation. The city was so big, it takes you 3 days to walk through the city. That's just a city. 3 days. A day in his journey, he starts telling people, hear ye, kind of thing. 40 days, you're done. The destruction of Nineveh and all of its people, the Lord our God has directed me to tell you, 40 days, you're done. He hated these people with a passion. Imagine how big his head was and pride. He's walking around saying, you're all going to hell, and I'm going to witness it. He's so proud of himself. Imagine him thinking to himself, I can't believe I fought the Lord in this. This is nice to be able to watch these people's panic in their eyes and see them tremble in fear, knowing God's coming. My God's coming for them. He's going to give them what they've earned. He was so tickled and excited about that. I can just imagine that feeling. After all, outside of Christ, all of our heroes we worship, what do? Punish those that are evil. We need to question that in our lives. John Wayne killed a lot of people. Question our heroes these days, especially in movies. Nonetheless, he was really tickled about that idea. In the story of Nineveh, and this evil, brutal people, their king, their ruler, felt the presence of God, and apparently the Spirit of Christ struck him like a stone. He ripped his clothes, dressed himself in sackcloth and ash, and told the rest of the people in his city, his nation, if you will, you will repent before the Lord, because he will destroy us if we do not. They even dressed their animals in sackcloth. It's in there. But they did it. This entire city repenteth. This entire city fell their trust and their worship. They put it on God. They begged for forgiveness. Jesus just begged for it. They asked for it. They meant it in their hearts. Really? We didn't think we were that bad. Proverbs 21:2, we were just talking about it. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord pondereth the hearts. We can justify everything we do. Everything we do, we can justify. But the Lord knows the true intent. I imagine this king, if you will, the leaders of Nineveh thought that they were doing right. After all, you strike us, you backhand us, we hit you with a fist. They were known to be mean. That's how we protect our nation. Stronger. By being brutal. I'm sure they thought they were right. You justify anything they do. The Lord knew their hearts. And when they got called out on it, they were like, oh, wait a minute. Think about that. Apply this in our lives as we're dealing with society, our own little worlds, the big world, and everything. Just in our family life. To find out you're wrong. My dad used to say the worst thing you do is find out you're wrong at the top of your voice. You argue and you yell and you go, oh crap, all of a sudden I'm wrong. A man will stop and go, you know what? Honey, I'm sorry. You know, that's normally where you're wrong. Some won't. Some will keep arguing, even though they know it. Because they got that pride hanging over their head. And I'm going to a completely different story. But think about the pride of the ruler of Nineveh. He threw all that away because he feared the Lord greatly. Greatly. Imagine the look on Jonah's face when we've seen these people run around in sackcloth and prostrate himself before the Lord and pray, and oh, God, forgive us and everything. He's like, oh, wait a minute. No, you're not supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to be rejecting God. Jonah. Jonah left the city after he walked through the city and prophesied like the Lord told him to. He was a little dismayed how the people started turning to the Lord. But he sat outside the city and sat upon underneath the shade tree. Let's go with that. And he waited for the destruction of this city. He waited for God to destroy this city. Think about this man. This is not a story. This is historical documentation. This is a real man that really went through this. Think about his feelings, his emotions. All his life he wanted to see these people killed. You know why he didn't want to go and listen to God when he said, go tell these people this? Because he knew of the grace of God. He knew God has a loving heart, a forgiving heart. He knew God loved all man. Jesus came for the sinners, not the saved. He knew this about God. And what he knew about God is why he was mad now. Because he knew that God had the ability to say, you know what? I'm going to save these people. I want these people to come to me. I'm going to share my grace with thee. And he got mad at God. A prophet, a man of God, got mad at God. And God said, hey, what's wrong? Are you that mad? Why are you mad? Yes, I'm mad, Father. Yes, I am. That's why I ran from you to begin with. Because I know you tend to do these things. You tend to be a God full of grace and love. You do these things, and I didn't want you to heal them. I didn't want you to fix them. I wanted them to go to hell. I wanted them to pay for their sins against me and my people in this world. I wanted these evil people to pay. And I see you're going to grant them salvation. My salvation, the same salvation I have, you're going to give to these evil people. No, I don't want that. Yes, I'm mad. Can you imagine a man of God saying that? If you think about it, we see them every day. There's people like that all around us. I learned something today. It cheered me up. I was watching YouTube videos in my office, which I spend too much time in apparently because I'm always told, get out of there. And I busted out in tears because of something I heard and I saw. I'm glad she didn't walk by the door and go, man, he's having a rough time. He's crying in his office. But I heard a man say something. I won't describe the story. It's just relevant to this one. But here's the thing about grace. When God gives you grace, you can't keep it. You got to give it to somebody else. That's how it works. As wonderful and special as grace is, woo, it's like a warm pot. That is just so nice. Lord, Ed, hold that pot for me. Feel that warmth. Give it to Gary. That's grace. And you run out of it. You got to get filled up again. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. The Lord's telling you, hey, keep coming to me. I got more grace for you. Here's another pot. Tote that around for a little while. This is what God did for the people of Nineveh. God changed his mind, which he can do because this is his house. He owns everything. And he gave them a reprieve. He relented his judgment on these people of Nineveh. And you know what the people of Nineveh did? Served God for the rest of their days, best I can tell. They converted an evil, evil people. The entire city, it was known throughout the land to be a great city. Huge population of people. Lock, stock, and barrel, the whole bunch, including their animals apparently, because they dressed them in sackcloth too, come to serve the Lord and got forgiveness. So when people say our country is lost, no, it's not.
Amen.
If Nineveh can get salvation, so can this country. If Nineveh and the people of Nineveh can get salvation, so can the libtards, or the liberals, sorry. So can the Democrat population. So can all these crazy people. Yes, you have to share your salvation with them too, Jonah. Yes, you have to share your salvation with these people in your eyes you see as evil people. But you know what's special about this story? Is that's how God saw you before you gave your life to him.
I was one of those just like that.
Just like that. Who's a Ninevite, you know? Who's been there? The story of Jonah that we don't know. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you were talking about Jonah on the boat, and I always found it super interesting because it says, I love how you just tied all that in, is how Jonah didn't want to go to Nineveh and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I always thought it was super interesting why he was asleep on the boat.
Yes.
How is that possible? If thing, well, so when I read it, I always we try to tail it to Jesus, right? Like Samson to Jesus, or like David to Jesus.
Yeah, I'm following.
And like you said, like Noah was this great prophet, but he was known as the disobedient prophet. And if you look at the New Testament of the disciples, Jesus did the exact same thing Jonah did. Is they get on a boat, Jesus goes to sleep in the inner parts of the boat.
That's a good connection.
This storm goes crazy. So then you gotta think the disciples are saying, this is the next Jonah. Like, what did this guy do that now the storm's going crazy, and they threw Jonah overboard, and there were people of God. And they knew the story of Jonah is when Jonah got thrown overboard, he still didn't want to do God's will, and then God delivered, right?
That's
so
right.
they were, in the disciples' eyes, they're probably thinking, Jesus is Jonah. Like, why? And then Jesus comes out and, calms the storm.
Yes.
And you think, oh, it's amazing, his power over, like, the storm and the elements. But if you think of it twofold, is that Jonah had no power over the storm. It was God's decision to calm the storm. But Jesus on the boat calmed the storm without being thrown in the water, meaning that he wasn't just a prophet. Is that he was the one that was deciding for Jonah to go.
That's right. There was a similarity, but a clear difference right there.
Exactly.
They prayed to God, saw the storm. Jesus said, "I got this."
Jesus was showing his authority, saying that, like, I'm not just Jonah getting sent. I am God who sent Jonah. And so he calms the storm from inside the boat. And so I always kind of pale it to that, because I was thinking, like, how could they both be?
I like that. That's interesting. I love how you did that reference too. But you know what I was thinking as you're saying, honey, you know what I was thinking of? We used to be in the sailboats really big. And we had the sailboat. Just me and my lovely lady, we were out there sailing. And the wind's going, and all of a sudden you feel this nice cool breeze come from a different direction. I learned from a previous incident sailing, that's when you need to open your eyes, because that's indicative of that storm that low pressure is pushing in on you really fast. So we sailed around some shallow water. We dropped the sails and everything, and it's coming, and the winds and the wave. Everything we're describing here started happening. We dropped the sails, we get to anchor, we power set the anchor, we scramble on tying off sails, and just me and her on this boat. It's got living quarters downstairs, cabin, you can do your thing. So we get locked in and everything, it starts storming, and I get downstairs, she goes downstairs, we shut up and lock up, and we're sealed tight in there and everything, and I take the bed, or the couch, what's this thing, the table, and I move the cushions, lay the table, I make it a bed, and I lay down. Boats. The wind, lightning's popping the ground. We got a mast in here, lightning's popping the ground. I lay down. She sits down on the couch, and she's looking at me, she's like, "Hey." And I'm like, "What? What are you doing?" "I'm chilling out." All hell's breaking loose around us, and you're chilling out. We've done everything we can do, baby. It's in the Lord's hands now.
Amen.
I was sleeping. I was trying to go to sleep. We're done. I could sleep in a rocking boat. I'm telling y'all, I could sleep through a storm like you wouldn't believe. But I was like, I'm going to give me some good sleep through this, because God's got all this. Live or die, I don't know, but I'm done with what I can do. So I'm going to rely on the Lord, even back then. That's interesting how that connects. So that's literally in a boat, in the winds and waves and all the good stuff. He's got this. Nothing I can do.